Hey everybody, it's Jason Blah here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And I did a video the other day about, I guess his name is Brandon, one of the buff dudes who did a video where he talked about how he gained 15 pounds of muscle. And of course he admitted it wasn't all muscle in the video, but in the title he admitted 15 pounds of muscle gain in just a few months, like 3 months. And I had a lot of people come in and say, well, couldn't it just be muscle memory? And the answer is no. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Guys, I've been in the iron game a very, very, very long time. For those who aren't aware, I'm actually older than some people seem to realize. I don't know, guys think that again, I'm not trying to say that I look young. I just don't think people realize when they see some of us lifters on YouTube how old we really are. They might think I'm in my 30s or something. That's just not the case. I've been around the iron game a long time. I've also detrained. So when I'm talking about this stuff, I have experience with muscle memory. I have experience observing muscle memory in many athletes over the years. And people have some weird ideas about it. But one of the things people did note, I wasn't actually hard on Brandon in that video. I'm normally an asshole. In this segment, my current events, I spend most of it calling out con men, jackasses, people ripping you off, people promoting stupid, ignorant shit. That's most of what this segment is, but not always. And I didn't do that with them. People say, well, why? Because the buff dudes don't strike me as bad guys. They just don't. Because I don't watch really any of their stuff. I know almost nothing about them. I know a little bit about them. But my first impressions, they seem to be genuinely nice guys. All right, what more do you want me to say? People who seem to be genuinely nice, they don't seem to be con men. They don't seem to be ripping people off. I'm not going to necessarily have a lot negative to say about it. It looks like a pair of guys who are serious about lifting. They're serious about their health. They promote a healthy, fit lifestyle. They're promoting eating balanced diets. I mean, it's hard to hate on that. It's hard to hate on that. And there's plenty of people on YouTube who need to be hated on for really putting out jackass information and selling shitty programs. There's a lot of that. Selling worthless supplements. I mean, BCAA is completely worthless. People are still selling them. Perfect example. Selling them. I don't see him doing that. And in fact, the video itself, I didn't see any training advice given. I didn't necessarily like what I saw him doing in the gym later. But that's a whole different topic. Whole different topic. I'm not big on fluff and pumping machines and all that. I think that shit's a waste of time unless you're using a bunch of drugs and it works great. Which kind of came to the point of, I did say in there, yeah, there's definitely drugs involved. And I'm sorry, the guy didn't claim it was natural anywhere in the video. So there's a point let's come to. We're dealing with a taboo topic. We're dealing with something that is illegal. And the YouTubers who jump up and admit while living in America with their drug stack is and everything else, they're basically morons. They are giving the feds permission to get a warrant to just come search their place. It's stupid. It is stupid if you live in the U.S. That's why I tell guys, no, I don't necessarily respect people who just come out on YouTube and say, oh, I'm on 3 grams of test. It's you're a moron is what you are. But by that same token, I also don't respect the guys who are going to be fake natties. Run around and claim natural so they can sell you garbage products. And there's plenty of them. That's the majority. That is the majority of guys on YouTube Fitness who are selling you products. Most of them are using gear. I don't respect that because they're lying to sell products. Lying to sell products. But that is part of the industry. But he didn't say anywhere in that video, I did this natural, I did this drug-free. So, I can't get mad and say, well, he claimed it was a natty transformation. Do you guys see the point? He was quiet about it, didn't say anything. Honestly, if you're going to use gear and you're going to promote stuff, that's probably the more respectable approach. I don't agree with everyone, the whole Rich Piana thing of admitting your 6-gram stack. No, I don't think that's a smart idea. I don't think that's good to do that. So we had that situation, and then people were saying, okay, well, it could have just been muscle. No, it couldn't. Muscle memory very rarely exceeds noob gains, almost impossible. Well, what are noob gains? In fact, I'm going to do a video coming up. Someone had linked me a video of a young man who they're like, oh, wow, that's really impressive. He went from a 75-pound deadlift and showed his workouts through the year. 75-pound deadlift as a noob and pulled a 415 at the end of the year. From 75 skinny noob to a 415 deadlift in 1 year. That's amazing. I don't want to take away from the guy's progress, but that's average. which kind of highlights the points. People say that is totally average. If you didn't do that, you didn't run a proper program. All right, that's normal. That's normal, and I don't want to take away from that guy's hard work because he obviously did it right. I mean, if you go from a 75 deadlift to a 415 in your first year, you did it right. But is doing something right spectacular? I mean, should we put people on a pedestal for following the program? You did what every young man in the gym should be doing. Hey, that's good. But we don't need to run around sucking everyone's dick for it, for doing what's known to be correct and known to be the correct results. You know, it actually isn't exceptional. That's not even a sign of great genetics. That's not a sign that the kid used drugs. So let's put it that way. It's neither one of those. It's a sign that a guy, average, healthy young man, followed a proper strength program for his first year in the gym. That's what it means. That should be the norm. That's the norm. That should be. If it's not, then maybe you need to reassess what you're doing. So I don't want to downplay it and say, oh, it's not good, because it is. And I'll give the guy props for doing that. But it's also like saying, oh, man, you come in and do your job every single day. You show up to work on time, right? Well, that's kind of expected, isn't it? It's like we don't need to get participation trophies for doing what you're supposed to do. So that's the norm. So how many of the guys who you're seeing here coming back and bouncing back are putting over 300 pounds on their deadlift in 1 year, right? Because that's new gains. Well, size does equal strength, and that usually accompanies the amount of muscle they gain. And again, that's the point I always make to guys. When you're gaining muscle at a given rate, if you gain it with drugs, you gain less strength per pound of muscle. Now, you'll usually see a skinny noob will put on 20 pounds of muscle doing that, right? You go from a 75 deadlift to a 415. You go from squatting 50 pounds to squatting 315, 320 at the end of your first year, you're going to gain 20 pounds of muscle. And what do we see with noob gains like that? What, up to 2 pounds a week? That's your novice gains. In a perfect scenario, about 2 pounds of muscle per month. Sorry, I messed up and said per week. I'm not going to edit that out. It'll end up being all over the place. Jason Blaha says 2 pounds of muscle per week. There'll be whole troll videos made about it. It'll be all to get 20,000 views that I said that and forgot to edit it out. People hang on my every word. It's weird. But up to 2 pounds a month, right? That's your noob gains. 2 pounds. People need to understand, when you're gaining 2 pounds of muscle per month, that is how you add 350 pounds to your deadlift, 300 pounds to your squat, 180, 200 pounds to your bench press inside of a year. That's noob gains. That's what happens. If you do it correctly, if you're legitimately gaining that 2 pounds of muscle a month and you're training on a proper program, that's what you get. Any of you guys doing muscle memory seeing that? If you just quit training for a few months and you go back to training, are you seeing that much strength gain? Are you putting 20 pounds onto your squat every 2 weeks? Because that's what noobs do. Noobs on a noob program can walk in and add 5 pounds to their squat every day for 2 months straight. Like every time they train, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so 15 pounds a week, right? You do see guys put 120 pounds on their squat work sets in the first 2 months. Happens all the time. I've trained guys who did that on novice programs in person. That's normal. It's normal to go from deadlifting under 100 pounds to hitting 300 in 12 to 16 weeks. Yeah, within 4 months. That's perfectly normal. We see it all the time on proper programs. So let's come over to the points. This really how much strength and size these guys are really gaining off these muscle memory? Come on. I'm someone who spent 10 months in bed sick. I couldn't train for 3 years. When I got sick, I was benching 400, squatting 550. I weighed 215. That was my stats at 30 years old when I got sick. I'm going to explain how this works. I didn't ever get back to those numbers again. So let's talk about muscle memory. All right, let's talk about muscle memory. What's the most you guys have seen me bench? 340, 350. Most you've seen me squat like 508. I haven't got back to those numbers. And as far as muscle memory goes, you know what? It took me over an entire year to get back to a 400 squat. After learning to walk again and having to start with the empty bar, to get to a 400 squat took me over a year. I had muscle memory. I've watched this happen before. Muscle memory usually make noob gains. You make noob gains again. or slightly better in some cases, right? In some cases, you do a little bit better than noob gains for a very, very, very short period of time. That's what muscle memory usually does for you, right? As opposed to someone who's an intermediate, they don't make noob gains. And what I mean by that is, I mean, you could make noob gains without the full detraining. You might fall back from being advanced to an intermediate level, and then you make noob gains all the way back to the advanced level again, right? That's oftentimes what happens. Well, you wouldn't see that ever in someone who's just training normally. So you regain muscle and strength a lot faster. Unless you completely detrain, then you seem to flow through noob gains. And those noob gains last longer because you're still building off that old muscle memory, those old set points. You don't gain 4 pounds of muscle per month, right? That's not what you gain. The only time you ever see anybody in a lab gain 4 pounds of muscle per month is on anabolics. It's been done on drugs. You don't see it with just weight training, and we don't even see it with muscle memory. So for people who are saying, hey, I think this could be muscle memory, no, muscle memory doesn't explain that. All right, he was already, if you look at the old photos and his old stats, he was already enhanced. He was enhanced before he lost a little bit of muscle at any point, quit training for just a little while. Right, he was already enhanced. He was still jacked when he went back and gained this 15 pounds. He was jacked before he gained the 15 pounds. He exceeded noob gains from a point of already being pretty jacked. I think the guy was pretty jacked already, right? I mean, you saw him before the 15 pounds of gain. Is there any question in your mind that dude walking around that he lifts? Come on. You could tell he lifts. You know he lifts. There's no question about it. To put on 15 pounds, most of it muscle, so let's say what, 4 pounds of muscle per month? That's faster than noob gains, guys. That's not muscle memory. That's that there cell tech. And that's okay because he didn't claim natural. You know what he made the video about? He made that whole video about eating a healthy, balanced diet, eating a caloric surplus of quality whole foods. So, even though there were substances involved with the regaining that muscle there, that transformation, and there were, what did he make the video about? Hey man, eat healthy, eat good. Eat quality whole foods and a lot of calories to gain muscle. I can't hate on that. I can't hate on that. He might have done his own thing, but in the video itself, he promoted a healthy lifestyle and didn't sell people a bunch of shit. But fair play to that. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.